He showed her a real lesson today. My daughter remarked as I took my seat, my arm painfully broken. Her voice was soft, almost hesitant, as if she wasn't sure whether what she was saying was comforting or unsettling. I winced, trying to adjust the sling that pulled against my shoulder, and forced a small smile in her direction. She looked at me with wide, questioning eyes, searching my face for an explanation I wasn't ready to give. The room felt heavy, as if every piece of furniture carried its own memory, its own echo. The wooden table between us still had the faint scratch from the night my husband slammed his keys down after yet another argument. The walls, once painted in warm cream, had grown dull over the years, not from neglect, but from the weight of the words they had absorbed. Even the ceiling light flickered in a tired rhythm, as though it too had witnessed more than it could bear. My daughter sat opposite me, her lips pressed into a thin line as she stirred her cup of tea. She wasn't stirring it to cool it down, she was stirring it to distract herself, to avoid looking directly at the truth sitting right across from her. I watched the spoon go in circles, slow at first, then faster, as though she was trying to whirl away the silence between us. "Mama, what really happened?" she finally asked. I opened my mouth, but the words tangled in my throat. It wasn't that I didn't know what to say. It was that the truth was too heavy and the lie was too light. And somewhere between those two weights stood my daughter, my innocent girl who still believed every conflict had a simple explanation. "He didn't mean for it to happen," I whispered, more to myself than to her. But even as I said it, I felt the sting of my own lie. My daughter stopped stirring. Her spoon paused mid-air. "But Mom, why was he shouting like that? Why did he say those things?" Her voice trembled. She wasn't asking just about today. She was asking about years. About moments she had witnessed as a child but never understood. About nights she had heard muffled cries through her bedroom door. About the times she had seen me flinch when someone spoke too loudly. I folded my good hand over hers. "Sweetheart, sometimes grown-ups make mistakes. Sometimes anger gets bigger than it should. Sometimes. But he pushed you," she said sharply, as if the truth had been stuck inside her and now burst out like a shout. I froze. The spoon dropped from her fingers and clattered against the cup, sending a trembling echo through the kitchen. She looked at me with eyes full of accusation. Toward him, toward me, toward the silence we both kept. "He didn't just push me," I said quietly. "We were arguing. He grabbed my arm. I tried to pull away. I slipped. That was the softened version. The version that shielded her. The version that protected him. The version I had told myself so many times that it almost felt real." My daughter shook her head slowly, her jaw tightening. "He broke your arm, Mom." Her words were crisp, clear, painfully honest. I looked down at the sling again. The bruises beneath it were hidden from sight, but their ache pulsed with every heartbeat, as though reminding me that the truth always leaves a mark. "He showed her a real lesson today," she repeated, but this time her voice sounded different, uncertain, almost frightened by her own words. "But what lesson? Who was he teaching?" I closed my eyes for a moment. I could still hear his voice from earlier, loud, angry, echoing off the walls. I could still feel the sting of his grip, the roughness in the way he held me, as if force, not love, was the language he understood best. "He wasn't teaching anyone anything," I said softly. "He was losing control." She looked away, blinking rapidly. I saw tears gathering at the corners of her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. She had always been like that, strong, even when breaking inside. "Mama, why do you stay?" she whispered. Those 4 words hit harder than the fall itself. They dug deeper than the fracture. Because how do you explain years of trying? Years of believing someone would change. Years of hoping the good days would outweigh the bad. How do you explain promises whispered in the dark, apologies that sounded real, and memories that felt too precious to abandon? How do you explain love that slowly turns into fear? I took a shaky breath. When you love someone, you want to believe the best in them. She didn't respond. She didn't need to. Her silence was louder than any question she could ask. I thought back to the early days, when he used to bring me flowers, when he would take my hand in crowded places, when he would laugh in that carefree way that made me fall in love. But somewhere along the way, life piled pressure on him, work, bills, expectations, and he let the frustration spill onto me. And then the spilling became habit, and habit became routine, and routine became normal. At least it had become normal for me, but not for her. My daughter stood abruptly and walked to the sink. Her shoulders were shaking. She tried to hide it, tried to keep her back toward me, but I knew the sound of silent tears. I had cried them enough times myself. I walked toward her, each step slow and careful. My broken arm throbbed, but a deeper ache pulled me forward, the ache of watching my child break over something I had allowed for too long. When I reached her, I placed my good hand gently on her back. "I'm sorry," I whispered. "I'm sorry you had to see any of this." She turned and buried her face into my shoulder, her body trembling. Her voice came out muffled, raw. "I don't want us to live like this, Mom. I don't want you to be hurt. I don't want him to be angry all the time. I can't pretend everything is okay." I held her tightly, closing my eyes as a tear finally escaped down my own cheek. For the first time in years, I let myself feel the truth, fully, painfully, clearly. It wasn't just about a broken arm. It was about broken trust, broken peace, broken years. We stood there for a long time, clinging to each other as if trying to hold on to something that still made sense. When she finally pulled back, her eyes were red but steady. "Mom, please. Let's go somewhere. Just for a while. You need time." "We both do." Her voice was soft but firm. Firm in a way that told me she wasn't just asking. She was telling me she couldn't watch me suffer anymore. I looked around the kitchen, the silent witness of so many memories. Some good, many painful. And I realized something: walls don't heal people. Houses don't fix fractures of the heart. Love doesn't excuse pain. Maybe it was time to step away, to breathe, to let everything settle. I nodded slowly. "Okay," I whispered. "Let's go." Her face loosened in relief. She hugged me again, careful of my injured arm but holding me with a strength I had forgotten I had taught her. We packed quietly, just essentials. Clothes, medications, my sling, my paperwork. She helped me into the car, and for the first time in a long time, the air felt lighter. As we drove away, I looked back at the house shrinking in the rearview mirror. I wasn't leaving forever. I didn't know what tomorrow would bring. But I was leaving for now, leaving for safety, for healing, for clarity. My daughter reached over and squeezed my hand. "We're going to be okay," she said. "Even if it takes time." I believed her. Maybe for the first time, I truly believed it. And as the road stretched ahead of us, I let myself breathe, really breathe. My arm was broken,